Hey everybody, this is John with another installment of Think Culture, and this is an episode in our briefs series, so I'm going to try to be very brief. I've tried a few times, it's pretty difficult. But the idea of the brief series is we do a short video, something like 5 minutes on a particular subject, and we give a kind of brief explanation of of it in such a way that you can understand it to some degree. It's kind of like a primer on a topic, a philosophical concept, a thinker, a book, whatever. And the point of it is to be one, sort of more accessible, two, just increase knowledge in general. Three, hopefully we you become more conversationally fluent, which is to say if somebody's name dropping and they refer to this person or this concept or whatever, you know what they're talking about, you can participate in the conversation, you're not alienated from it. And finally, hopefully to pique your interest, right? Hopefully you learn a little bit about it or whatever, and you decide, oh, I want to learn more about it. You go read some books or something, or maybe you look at some of our longer form content. Today we're going to do it on nominalism, and in fact, I'm about to record a video, a bigger video on nominalism. What's it called? More lengthy content or whatever. And that's going to be more of a deep dive into it, what it really means, what the arguments are for and against it, how it's articulated at different points, and then sort of the intellectual history and the relevance of talking about it and things like that. I've heard people refer to nominalism quite a bit in social media and stuff recently. I think that's good. It's an important topic for sure. And you'll get an understanding of that from my other video, not really from this one. In this one, the only goal is to make you know what nominalism means, just sort of the bare definition, sort of the bare facts of nominalism. And yeah, hopefully your interest will be piqued and you'll go consume that other content. However, let's go ahead and get started here. Nominalism. What does nominalism mean? Within metaphysics, as a branch of philosophy, there's conversation that people will have about particulars and universals. A particular is a singular thing, right? It's a singular bearer of its own properties. Like this is a marker, it's a particular, right? I'm a particular person. This is a particular whiteboard. That's a particular window. That's a particular door, right? It's like an actually existing singular thing. It has its own properties. It's a unified sort of phenomenal entity, right? That's particulars. So your experience obviously consists of experience with a bunch of particulars. However, there's this problem in ancient philosophy called the problem of the one and the many. And basically that is a problem of how can you have unity and diversity? How can you have a whole bunch of different particulars with all these different properties? They're different things, and yet somehow they're the same, right? There's a kind of sameness to them. You could think about, identity. How am I the same person as I was when I was a baby, right? There has to be some essence, something which is continued, which is shared among all the different versions of John, right? There has to be, I have tons of different pins. They have different sizes, shapes. Some of them are sort of destroyed. Some of them are not destroyed. They produce different colors, different times and places given by different people. They're very, very different. And you could think of non-pins, something like silverware or something that are very, very different. And yet somehow they're all the same, right? How are they the same? Well, they all are carriers not only of like, um, you know, they're carriers of predicates which are universals, right? This is black. Blackness, right, is a universal. This marker is black. I'm predicating blackness of the marker. I'm saying it participates in this universal of blackness, right? It is a marker. I'm predicating markerness of it, right? Markerness is sort of a universal, and I'm saying that it belongs to this universal category. Somehow all of the markers that exist all belong to the same category of markerness. They all have to have in them somehow markerness, right? That has to be a kind of property that they have too, but it's not a particular property, it's a universal property. It belongs equally to all these different members of the group, right? Now, there are people who think that those things are real, they exist, you can have knowledge about them. That is to say, they think that universals exist and you can have knowledge about them. And there are people that reject the existence of universals. right? So there will be people, you can think about it geometrically, right? Does like this is a square, that's a square, that's a square as particular squares, right? I'm looking at a particular piece of paper that happens to be square or whatever, a Super Nintendo thing that happens to be square or whatever. Those are all particulars. They exist, right? However, does square exist, right? Is there such a thing as a square? Nominalists are going to say no. Nominalists reject the existence of universals. They say no, there's no such thing as a square, right? Realists about universals, they say yes, there is such a thing as a square, and you can know what a square is. I know that the area of a square's area equals, side squared. I know that. I can be certain about it, and it's an eternal, unchanging fact about it, a real thing. A square is a real thing. Nominalists say, no, you saw all these different objects and you perceived a kind of similarity in them, so you grouped them together and you gave them a name. Nominalism, nomen, that means name. We just name things, right? All that actually exists are particulars. We experience them, we perceive them, and we perceive a kind of similarity. We focus in on a particular detail or property or something like that, and then we try to just group them perceptually together, right? So to kind of foreshadow and to explain this concept a little bit, right? So man, is there such a thing as man? Is there manness, right? Is there womanness? What is a man? What is a woman, right? Nominalists are going to want to say those are just conventions. They're linguistic conventions. We made up these words to refer to stuff. We could have applied them to different things. We could have applied them to different groups. We could have used different terms. We could have 15 terms instead of 6, whatever. We just grouped stuff together perceptually in a way that was convenient or useful or something, and we applied names. Realists are going to say, no, there is such a thing as a woman. There is such a thing as a man. We can know about them, right? We can know the essence of a man and a woman. Anyway, that's a brief kind of introduction. It's still a little long, but I'm just going to go with it. Don't simply react, but think culture.